There we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, May 26th Madison City Council meeting. At this time, I would like to ask Pastor Ethan Ryan of Midtown Baptist Church to please lead us in the invocation, and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Thank you, Pastor.
Let's pray. Our Father in heaven, creator, author of life, sustainer, in your mercy and your grace, Lord, we just come before you in weakness, that your strength may be perfected in us today. Lord, I lift up to you our mayor, our city council members, and our local officials, especially those that are present here with us this evening. Lord, I thank you so much for their desire to serve this wonderful community. Lord, you've seen fit to raise them up to this position of authority. Lord, I pray that you would bless them, you would protect them. Lord, as they seek to guide and protect others, as they seek to be a voice for the voiceless, a help for the helpless, perhaps a justice against those that seek to do evil. Lord, a rewarder of those that do good. I pray that their minds would be directed always to the betterment of others. Lord, not of any selfish ambition, but of sacrificial kindness and generosity. Lord, you know their hearts, their strengths, their weaknesses. Lord, you know the sacrifices that they make, even tonight as they spend time away from their families. Lord, you know the sacrifices that their families make, so that they can fulfill their duties. Lord, I pray that your hand of blessing would be upon them for that. We thank you also for those present here today to be recognized for their service to their fellow citizen. I pray we never take them for granted, when on our worst days they often show up without the gratitude and recognition they deserve. We thank you for those that are here who have come to have their voices heard in this forum. I pray that mercy and kindness would rule, that there would be no spirit of anger or division present, but unity and peace can be sought in every situation. Lord, as decisions are made regarding budgets, planning ordinances, Lord, you know our hearts plan our ways, but you, God, establish our steps. I pray for your wisdom in these matters, that all things will be done decently and in order. Above all, Lord, let your name be exalted in the heavens. Let your glory cover the earth as the waters cover the sea, and let the earth take knowledge of your goodness. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. You may be seated. May I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Bartlett. Here. Councilmember Robleski.
Here.
Councilmember Beer.
Here.
Councilmember Goodson.
Here.
Councilmember McKay.
Here.
Councilmember Lessman.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Thank you. We are all accounted for, and we have a quorum. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
There are no amendments.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll move into approval of minutes, and first up is the regular meeting from May 11th.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Goodson and a second from Mrs. White. Are there any comments or questions?
It was Kenneth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it Kenneth? Okay, I didn't hear anything. Okay, so a motion from Mr. Goodson and a second from Mr. Jackson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Thank you. The minutes are accepted as written. Next, we have the minutes from our work session, also dated May 11th.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Jackson and a second from Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Abstain?
Thank you. Those minutes are accepted as written. And we do have two presentations tonight. We'll begin with Chief Williams and a fire promotion for driver Tyler King. Thank you, Chief.
Tyler, you and your family want to join me? We have one fire department promotion to recognize tonight. Tyler King has been promoted to driver effective April 27, 2026. Tyler was hired in 2022 and is currently assigned to Station 4 as a driver paramedic. We conduct an assessment center one time a year regardless of a vacancy, and then we have a standing list that we can pull from our promotions, and that list is good for 1 year. This past April, he participated in our assessment center that we conducted internally. This assessment center was one full day of testing that consisted of an oral interview, written test, a pump scenario, and street driving. And Tyler came out on top. So join me in congratulating Tyler in his promotion to driver. Now we'll let his wife pin his badge on. One more round of applause for Tyler.
Congratulations to all. Thank you very much. At this time, we have a presentation by our friends at Warren Averett on the audit for our city for fiscal year 2025. I'd like to welcome the team to council chambers.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Lee Parks, and I'm with Warren Averett out of the Montgomery office. This is my colleague Rick Blanton, and we serve on the engagement team. And we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all tonight and present the results of the September 30, 2025 engagement. Each of you should now have a packet that will include the PDF of the slides that we're going over tonight, as well as our communications, a copy of the financial audit, and then as well as the single audit. And we're going to go through all these here shortly. We're going to do it at a kind of high level, so if any questions, please let us know. This first slide is just kind of an overview of what we're going to cover. This next slide shows the team that's involved. It's more than just the two of us. But we have myself, Lee Parks, out of the Montgomery office. Jennifer Williams is out of the Atlanta office. She's our uniform guidance principal. Rick serves as a uniform guidance member. We have Kendra Bessett, our supervisor. John Crawford, those both out of our Huntsville office, serve as the engagement senior. He's a senior associate. Scott Pruitt is head of our IT. He does the internal control, IT control review. And then Carol Phillips is our quality control review member. She serves as the kind of the final review of all engagements. We're required to present to you our peer review letter. This is the copy of our most recent one. 2025 was our peer review year. Every 3 years we go through the peer review process. HH&M provided us a report on January 20th, 2026, and we received a pass rating, which is the equivalent of unmodified, or kind of the best opinion you can get. So, moving on to the financial audit, on page 1 of your financial statements, and this is what we're going to be, this section is what we'll be covering first, you'll find what's known as our independent auditor's report. And the city received an unmodified opinion, and the audit was dated March 26, 2026. And that paragraph below is I guess the meat of the report, the paragraph documenting the unmodified opinion, and that's the best opinion you can get. So just really quickly, the first couple slides are going to be focused on the government-wide statement, and then we're going to be diving into the fund level when we go into the revenue and expenses. Total assets for the city were $476,107,000, up about 2.4%. Total liabilities and deferred inflows were $333 million, down about 4.7%, and then the net position was $143 million, which is up about 23%. Diving down more into the total assets and deferred outflows, we had cash of $91 million, which was down about $16 million from the previous year. That was just related to current year capital outlay. We had some prior year accounts payable that was on hand at 9/30/24 that was related to capital projects that got paid in the current year, and then as well as current year debt service payments. Receivables of $16.7 million, capital assets net of accumulated depreciation, $348 million, which was up about $28.8 million. That's just a product of the current year additions less current year depreciation. Deferred outflows, which were related to primarily to the pension and other post-employment benefits, were $18.7 million, and then we had some other assets of $761,000. Accounts payable were $6.5 million. This was down approximately $3.6 million from the previous year, and those are the accounts payables that were said were on hand at 9/30/2024. City paid those off in the current year, and there weren't as many as this year. Interest payable, which is the accrued interest on the long-term debt, was $3.3 million. Had unearned revenue 1.2. Warrants payable were $282 million. This was down $11.8 million. This just strictly the current year debt service. The details of that can be found on note 6 beginning on page 34, and it'll show you the various categories and then break it down in details by individual note. Show you the actual interest rates, due dates, and then the debt service for through maturity for each one. Notes payable were $8.7 million. This is down $1.6 million, and this is just the current year debt service on the notes. You had compensated absences of $2.5 million. OPEB liability of the other post-employment benefits of $506,000. Your net pension liability, which is basically comes from the retirement system of Alabama, was $22.3 million. That's down $5.1 million, and the city receives the retirement systems does an actuarial study each year and calculates their total liability and then allocates a certain proportionate share to various cities, and so basically you get a report saying what your share is, and depending on the actuarial assumptions, it can fluctuate up or down. So you just have to go with what our RSA says. Deferred inflows, that's another component of the pension and OPEB. It increased 4.9 to 5.5 million, so you kind of almost have to combine those two to get the true impact of that. On the next slide, we're going to shift over to net position. There's three components of net position. One is the net investment in capital assets. This is your total capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation, and then further reduced by any kind of capital-related debt. So of the $143 million of net position, $167.7 million was net investment capital assets. Next category is restricted. The city's restricted net position was $78.6 million. Approximately $1 million of that was restricted for debt service. $37 million was for capital improvements, and then $40 million of that was restricted for other projects, be it road improvements and other designated by that particular fund. And then the residual is an unrestricted deficit of $103 million. I know that looks funny, having a deficit like that, but majority of the cities these days do, since they implemented the pension and OPEB. Recording those liabilities took everybody underwater on that side. Any questions before we move on to the revenue component? All right, so property taxes were $22.9 million, up approximately 2.4%. Sales tax were $40.9 million. This was down 2.6%. Lodging tax was $3.4 million. This was down approximately 5%. And then we had other taxes of $8.9 million. That was up approximately 3.2%. Licenses and permits were $8.6 million, up about 8.8%. Intergovernmental revenue, which is basically your your grants and other intergovernmental activity, $1.9 million, up about 34%. Charges for services were $4.1 million. That was down 11%. And then your other category, which is made up of contributions, donations, interest, and various other miscellaneous revenue, was 10.8 million, which was up about 8.2%. Moving on to the expense category, general government is 23.5 million. That was up about 4.5%. Public safety totaled 21.6 million, and that was up about 7% from the previous year. Public works was 12.5 million. That was up about 20.3% from the previous year. Culture and rec was 7 million. Capital outlay was 26.1 million. That was down about 12.9 million from the previous year. That's your current year capital purchases. So 25 was kind of a down year compared to 24 on the capital investment side. And then debt service was 23.6 million, and that was up about 2.6 million, and that's just related to the current year debt service. And if you look at that note 6, you'll see the total principal that was paid and the breakout between interest and principal. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick, who's going to discuss the uniform guidance report.
So what Lee Parks just so eloquently put together a summary of was 99 pages of the big white book. And so the good news is that mine's 10 pages. So it won't take me just a minute. So the uniform guidance audit is required by the federal government for anyone who expends more than $1 million in federal funding. This year, the city of Madison was just over that with expenditures on the schedule of federal expenditures of 1.18 million. Majority of that's an increase of about 31% from the prior year, 905,000. The majority of that increase, or all of that increase, in fact, is the COVID money or the ARPA funds, as well as the reduction in the firefighter grants. So the COVID, if you'll go to the next slide, one slide back, the COVID-19, go back forward one, I'm sorry, right there. The COVID-19 or ARPA funds you see is 1.1 million of the single or the federal funds on the schedule. And then in your packet behind the slides, you'll notice there's a tab that says required communications. That is where we talk about our opinion. We talk about the scope and timing of the audit, and if there were any changes with respect to that in the planning communications that you provided back in the engagement letter. There were none. There were no changes to our risk of the audit. It's also, if you'll go to the next slide, that is where, if there were audit differences, we would make a list of them. If there were corrected misstatements that required communication, they would be included there. That's also where the communication, I think the tab right before it would be the communication of material weaknesses and significant deficiencies would be. Had there been material weaknesses and significant deficiencies discovered in the audit, there were none. But in true fashion, they won't let us say there were none. It just says none were uncovered as a result of our audit procedures, and then it makes us say that there may have been some that were not uncovered. But it's as good an opinion as you can get. There were no communicated significant deficiencies. And with that, are there any questions? With that, I'll hand it back to Lee for BallCorps.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. So the next couple slides are going to go over the agreed upon procedures engagement for 2025 related to BallCorps. Just kind of a brief background, with 2018, the city and BallCorps entered into a venue license, lease, and management agreement. The city and we were engaged by the city to examine and test certain revenues, expenses, and net profits of BallCorps related to parking revenue, base license fee, performance license fee, and non-baseball events. These are all kind of categorized in the venue revenue category. So our procedures focused on that. This is how the report appears with agreed upon procedures. We note the procedure performed, and then we report on if any findings, any exceptions were noted. So we start by, we obtained and read the applicable legal agreements between BallCorps and the city. We obtained a summary retain the summary sheet of 2025 revenue, expenses, and net profits. That's called the summary sheets. That's kind of like the master report that we base all of our testing on. The majority of that testing is going to be on completeness and accuracy to make sure that everything that should have been reported on that summary sheet is. And so to start with that, we obtained 5 deposits. We obtained all the bank statements from the year. We selected 5 deposits randomly from those bank statements. And we inquired as to whether they were baseball or non-baseball related. And then if they were non-baseball related, we drilled down to make sure they were actually on that summary sheet. We next had access to the Toyota Stadium schedule calendar, and we went in and looked at all non-baseball events, and then traced them back down to the summary schedule to make sure they were accurately included. From that summary sheet, we also selected a sample of events. Selected 1 item from the movie night, baseball tournament, and Christmas spectacular. We also selected a sample from the one-time events. We chose all events with the net profits over $20,000 and 3 events with net profits under $20,000. So from this sample, we obtained the detail of the revenue and expenses for each item selected. And then we randomly selected samples of the individual components that made up those and drilled down to the supporting documentation, documenting the receipts and disbursements to verify the accuracy. We also obtained the copies of the support for the quarterly $62,500 payments that BallCorps makes to the city, of making up the $250,000. And then we did basically a predictive test on the parking revenue as well as the ticket sales, which was on the next slide. And that's all. And like I said, in each instance, there was no exceptions noted related to these procedures. Any questions on the agreed upon procedures before we move forward? Okay. And with that, that's our last slide, is Q&A. I know that was quick, and there's a lot of information we covered, but if you have, we'd be happy to go into detail anything that we skimmed over.
Thank you, Mr. Parks and Mr. Blanton. I was just going to ask if there are any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll throw it unless council has any questions, just a comment. We appreciate all the work y'all did. Just so the rest of council knows and everybody in attendance, the Finance Committee got a copy of the audit in advance last week, had a chance to review it. We met this afternoon in Finance Committee, went through a little more detailed explanation. One point of note is the agreed upon procedures is related to the prior BallCorps lease, where we look at all those different factors that made up the lease payment. As we go forward under the new structure, that will no longer be required. So that's unfortunately a loss in a gain to us and a service we won't need on the AUP engagement. And then as we looked into the details of it under the new agreement, we probably would have been a little bit better. So I think as you tie everything together, what we've done, we'll save money on the AUP. And we've had, again, we'll end up getting a little bit more money than we would have. And we're incentivizing BallCorps to do all the right things that'll drive traffic to that area. So thank you all. We appreciate it. And if there's no other questions, I'm good.
I guess just one question, just to clarify something you said. This report, is this the one that documents the federal spending? This would not, if we were looking, we would not find this report the year before because we were under the $1 million cap?
Well, actually, last year, it was a $750,000 cap, so you just
Okay. All right. I was just curious what would make the complete set. Thank you.
We may not have it next year
Yeah.
if we go under the $1 million. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
y'all.
Mr. Parks. Thank you, Mr. Blanton. We appreciate everything you do for the city.
Thank you all.
At this time, I would like to open up public comments. Everyone has an opportunity to come and speak. I would ask that you would say what district you live in and your name. And I do have 2 comment cards that have been filled out ahead of time, so I would like to invite Mr. Arthur S. Kirkendall to come forward first and share with us his public comments. Yes, sir.
I'm in Sandy Kirkendall, I'm in District 5, and I wanted to comment about the revised zoning ordinance. I know that there's a public hearing in a couple of weeks, but will not be able to attend that. First, want to thank the mayor, council, planning staff, and, planning director for all the amount of work that they have done to put this together. I know it's a huge undertaking. I do want to comment, however, that I object strongly to the provision that will include the allowance of short-term rentals under the zoning ordinance. I know there will be regulations in place. I've looked at the draft regulations. However, there's going to be plenty of opportunities for abuse. And I know there's also a 3 strikes provision and a limited number of establishments that will be able to have short-term rentals. But let me relay my brother's experience with this kind of thing. He lives in an older section of Dallas that is gentrifying, and several years ago, the house across the street was sold and was converted into a short-term rental. Very first weekend it was rented out, there were cars all up and down the street, loud noises all weekend long, trash all over the yard, and just generally a mess and a nuisance for the neighbors. Now, occasionally, there will be a conventional rental. Some guy will show up with a couple of suitcases, he'll be there 2 or 3 nights, check out, and, you don't see him again. But the most common use is as a weekend party house. And again, you get to the loud music, lots of noise, cars clogging the street, and trash all over the yard. This is pretty common. And last weekend, as a matter of fact, the house was full of a crowd of teenagers, 14, 15-year-old, no adults in sight. Now, assume an adult made the reservation, but it was nothing but kids. Now, I know other cities are allowing short-term rentals, but my thought is just because everybody else is doing it is no justification for us to do it too. Short-term rentals are really not, in my opinion, an appropriate use for single-family neighborhoods. I think they will hurt property values, and short-term rentals should be relegated to motels or someplace like Extended Stay America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kirkendall. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Monroe Darrell to come forward, please, and share with us his public comments.
And good evening to you. As you said, my name is Monroe Darrell, and I'm here on behalf of the residents at 106 West Dublin Apartments, and I'm accompanied by the chaplain of our committee, Ms. Donette Johnson. I'd like to point out that my first meeting here was a result of a fire alarm that happened at our residence, and I felt in being proactive, I needed to notify the fire department because it happened on 3 occasions where we needed to have a drill to educate the residents what to do in the case of a real emergency. However, I'd like to point out credit to Fire Chief Williams, because I was made to understand I needed to see Captain Perkins. Unfortunately, we couldn't make contact, so then I saw the fire chief. She said, I'll get him onto you. He contacted me, we made a connection, and he came to do the drill. However, in the process of that drill, management were made aware of this practice, and they pointed out to me that there's a code compliance that they've complied by, so they were within the law. However, had I known that beforehand, I wouldn't have gone through what I did. But I want to give kudos to Fire Chief and Captain Perkins for what they did. However, the same formula that I got from them in forming our committee, our greatest concern now is we don't have a representative of the residents. So being proactive, I sought to do that. We got together, had enough for a quorum, and elected our committee. I was elected as the chairperson. Ms. Johnson was elected as the chaplain. Where we are now, I find stalling because we initially started for this application as a committee, which is our right, in April, and here it is May, and they're stonewalling us for some reason. So my request in this process is, just as the fire chief got Captain Perkins to do that, I'm asking our Representative Goodman if you can intercede and see that something happens, because I feel there's some procrastination and some denial. And the bottom line is, we have this right, and we're going to exert the best we can. So I'm coming here to the committee, the council tonight, to seek your intervention and help us expedite this representation. Because more importantly, we have concerns at our residents that have lingered and lingered. And so therefore, if we're denied once, we're denied twice. But we decided that we want to bring it to an end. So on that note, I say thank you in advance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Darrell. At this time, is there anyone else who would like to address City Council during public comments? Seeing none, we will close public comments, and we will move into the finance agenda and committee report. Mr. Beer.
Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, Finance Committee met this afternoon, reviewed the audit, and we kind of went through that presentation, so we appreciate that. We've got a couple of items on the consent agenda. We got a weapon and police badge being retired out of surplus equipment for Captain Terrell Cook. We've got disposal of 2 different fire equipment, relates to kind of the fire-breathing apparatus that are obsolete and are out of service, so we have those we're being disposed of. We've got an AARP grant of $25,000, which will go towards improving sidewalk intersections. I think it's about 70, some odd 73, 77 of those, for blind individuals to help that. We've also got a couple of contracts up for renewals for IT on cybersecurity. And then finally, a acceptance of 10% profit in the amount of $300 from a travel group for some tours. And again, Finance Committee met. We've got the periodic bills reviewed, and if there's any questions from anybody, we'll take them. Otherwise, we'll move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Beer and a second for Mr. Goodson. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The consent agenda and Finance Committee report are accepted. Now we'll move into presentation reports, and we'll begin with Mayor Bartlett.
Okay, well, we've had a lot of activity since the last time we met. This weekend, a number of the council members and I were able to participate downtown in our Memorial Day ceremony. I wanted to thank the American Legion Post 229 and Larry Vanoy, who organizes a wonderful ceremony every year, along with Scout Troop 201 for laying out flags at our local cemeteries, and the DMS football team for helping prepare the grounds and to get everything ready for that ceremony. I thought it was very well done. And at the end of the ceremony, one of the veterans came up to me and he wanted to share some of his observations about a concern that he had, and he wanted to talk to the mayor. And so as he was sharing this concern, he said, you know, this property on the corner of Sullivan and Madison Boulevard, that vacant gas station, I really wished y'all could do something about this. And I was so happy to tell him, well, you are in luck, because the city had notified the property owners of a number of code violations. You all have seen this lovely piece of property as you come off of I-565 and enter the city. And indeed, the property owners responded to the code violations, and you may have noticed some equipment being staged on that corner. And I heard today from our code enforcement department that indeed they're going to begin demolition tomorrow. And so, yay. And he was really excited. He looked at me like, are you kidding? And this is happening this fast? And I said, you know, it takes months to notice these issues properly, to get feedback, and we're very appreciative of the owners of the property for working with the city to get that area cleaned up. I also wanted to say congratulations to Tina Nikki Tucker, who recently was named CEO of the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Tina Tucker is a Madison resident, grew up and attended Madison City Schools, and we're just so proud of her being named CEO. We look forward to working with the Space and Rocket Center, of course, in the future. We also were able to host our state delegation at Toyota Field this weekend. We had a doubleheader on Friday, and both games were played, and somehow the rain stopped. So we enjoyed getting to visit with them, and Council President Robleski was able to join us in hosting them this weekend. Last week, I was able to go to Hoover with Councilmember McKay to see SEC baseball in action and to see everything that it takes for them to host that event. We also went with Corey Alfred and general manager of the Trash Pandas, so we could take notes, ask a lot of questions, and observe how they prepare for that event. We've been planning and meeting to get ready, and we will continue those efforts. I want to congratulate all of the graduates from Madison City Schools. We had over 1,000 graduates at graduation on Monday. It's always the height of the year to get to attend graduation, and I was there with a number of council members who may want to talk to it, but that was just a wonderful ceremony, and we're so excited for the future because our youth were very impressive at that ceremony. And finally, I wanted to also congratulate Downtown for their Main Street Block Party. And at that event, they were able to honor State Senator Tom Butler, who's retiring this year. And he gave Main Street a grant that enabled the downtown area to have some fun recreation and games and activities downtown. And we launched Tom's Toy Box. And so that was a lot of fun to get to be there. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor. District 2, please.
So I'll be very brief. What Mayor Bartlett forgot was she also helped set up the chessboard for a couple of people in Main Street. So that was a great event, and I'm really proud of what Main Street Madison is doing. They're doing some great events downtown and really revitalizing that area. So more to come on that, and looking forward to what they have in the future. The only thing I'll mention, I can do it because he's a Madison resident, is my son. Got married this past weekend, so I'll throw that in there. My future daughter-in-law, so we were, or daughter-in-law now, so very excited to celebrate that. And again, they were both grew up in our schools, and or my son did, and just excited to see about their future. So that's all I have.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
District 3, please.
So I just want to first commend Mayor Bartlett for her efforts in the Madison, what I call the Madison corridor, that Madison Boulevard, the old 20. Just the work that is being done in that area and what you have done since taking office to get that kick-started and everything is just phenomenal. I will say, I know as a resident of District 3 and talking to other residents, we all appreciate it. So I did do a little happy dance when I saw a bulldozer, the heavy equipment via text and sitting in a foreign country and dancing about a piece of heavy equipment showing up at a gas station may not seem big, but it's huge. It's such a start. But thank you for the work that you are putting together and doing on that. That has been phenomenal. And all of the activities downtown, just to give a lot of credit to the businesses, Jen DeLessio, who is the Main Street lead down there, just the work that is being done. Saw a story today that was shared among council from a local news station detailing downtown activities. 6 new businesses have opened down there, and several more are getting ready to this summer, including a men's clothing store. There's 2 other stores. One of them is a party store, and I kept trying to remember and rack my brain today, but sleep deprived from jet lag, so it never came to me what that other one was. But just downtown has gotten such a vibe, and it's such a neat place to be and hang out. And seeing all the stuff that was going on, was just awesome. My last item of business, I would like to appoint the final completing member to fill out all the vacancies on the Madison City Police Advisory Committee. And the appointment for that is Ms. Christy Hampton, who actually happens to be with us today. a graduate of our Civic Awareness Academy, and just once again, that has paid dividends to the city, both from members of council and members of our committees and stuff who continue to be engaged in helping the city to be the very best it can be.
Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. District 4, please.
I do have a few updates tonight. A few things from the McDab side, which is Madison City Disability Advisory Board. So they've got Parks and Rec special programs. There's 9 different events and classes this summer that kids can sign up for, and that's not including 2 summer camps that are going all summer long. So for all those sessions, the information's on their website. Miracle League of Madison is working on a Play It Forward business sponsorship drive, and they're looking for sponsors and businesses to host fundraisers. So best way to see that information is the Miracle League of Madison's Facebook page. McDab, kind of along the same lines, is going to have an open seat pretty soon, and when that comes open, interested applicants can apply online. So more information to come on that. Let's see. I did post a registration link on my council Facebook page a little earlier today, that if anyone is interested in joining in the County Line Road Parade on July 2nd, which is celebrating America's 250th, there's a QR code on that graphic where you can sign up to enter the parade and participate. The new traffic signal at Burger and Hardeman is now fully operational, so that's a good safety improvement for the city. And then finally, I've got my second set of office hours on June 3rd, 4 to 5 p.m. here at City Hall in Conference Room 130. And again, that's June 3rd, 4 to 5 p.m. in CR 130. That's all I've got.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McKay. Mrs. Lessman, District 5.
I just have something with the Madison Chamber will be having a ribbon cutting for Wellstone on May 28th at 9 a.m. this Thursday. It's going to be at 9238 Madison Boulevard. So if you can make that, that's all I have. Everybody else has said everything. So I also wanted to thank Councilmember Goodson for talking to the Boy Scouts after the Memorial Day ceremony with the American Legion yesterday. I thought that was really neat because he was a prior Boy Scout and they needed to talk to somebody. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lessman. Mrs. White, District 6.
Yes, I have a few items. I just wanted to make sure that business owners in the area knew that there are vendor applications open for Third Thursdays on Main. That will be held every third Thursday from June through August from 5 to 7 p.m. And also for the Let Freedom Ring celebration by the City of Madison on Friday, July 3rd. We're looking for food vendors. So if there are those in the area who want to be a vendor, there are links posted online, both on the Main Street Madison page as well as the City of Madison Parks and Recreation page. Also, for the Madison Senior Center, they just posted that there is a senior self-defense and taekwondo class available. They'll be starting starting June 1st. They're $40, so if you'd like to sign up, the most information you can find will be found on Facebook at the Madison Senior Center page. So that's all.
Thank you, Mrs. White. Mr. Jackson, District 7.
Yes, so start off with an announcement from the Madison Arts Alliance. So they're kicking off their Sounds of Summer concert series on Thursday, May 28th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Home Place Park. So hopefully, if you're interested, you can make it. Second, I wanted to give a shout out to the fire department. I had a chance to visit 3 of the stations a couple weeks ago, and I want to give a special thanks to Chief Williams and Battalion Chief Tidwell for showing me around and for all the other staff. Just wanted to say it's impressive how much preparation they put into keeping us safe. So thanks to them for that. And then finally, echoing the mayor's comments on graduation, best wishes to all the graduates. And I hope the school teachers and staff have a great summer. Well deserved.
Thank you so much. I have one announcement. There will be a Madison Utilities meeting tomorrow, special call meeting tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And then Monday, we will have our regular Madison Utilities meeting at 7 a.m. Both of those, Ray Sanderson Drive off of Palmer Road, if you're interested in seeing what's going on with them. And I wanted to share, I went to the Liberty Learning celebration, and Liberty Learning is an organization that your council and your city and your mayor's office support that mainly has to deal with civic engagement. I believe it's every fourth grader in the city limits of Madison, no matter what elementary school they go to, attend this program. They do a kickoff presentation, then they do classwork, and then they do the end of the program celebration where there are literally millions of fourth graders in the James Clemens Auditorium. And what they did this year, I just want to share this because it was so special. So mainly the program has to do with civic engagement. You learn about the different forms of government, liberty, a little bit of a history on the Constitution. But what they did this year was a Pick a Hero program. And some of the students picked different teachers that were retiring, but one student picked his mom, who was given a devastating health diagnosis earlier in the year. And he shared with the audience, all of us, how important his mom was to him and how she was his hero and the battles that she faced and the grace and the strength that she showed. And I will tell you, I don't think there was a dry eye in the auditorium. So I just want to specifically thank council and mayor for supporting the Liberty Learning Program, our Madison City schools for supporting this program, and the teachers that teach it, because it does have to take away from other teaching time to teach students about citizenship and engagement. But what an incredible life lesson. It was just fabulous. And my thanks to Madison City Schools for supporting this program. And I think I wanted to mention Wellstone. That'll be this Thursday at 9 a.m. I'm looking forward to going to that. And I think everybody has covered everything. And so now we will move into public hearings. We do have 3 tonight. The first one has to do with a zoning opportunity, and our Director of Development Services will shepherd us through this.
The first public hearing is proposed ordinance number 2026-122, and this is a request to zone property located within Skyline Acres on Nancy Road, specifically 225 Nancy Road. It's about 0.35 acres. There's an existing home on it. This property is also requesting annexation, which is later on in your agenda. This item was considered by the Planning Commission and staff, and the Planning Commissioner supporting the request. There was nobody speaking in opposition to it.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing and see if there's anybody that would like to address this topic. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and move on.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Beer and a second from Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions regarding this? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The ordinance passes. Now we have our second public hearing with regard to a new restaurant that we are welcoming to Madison in the next week or so, the Chop House.
Good evening. I have one item for your consideration tonight. Resolution number 2026-190-R. This is a request for a restaurant retail liquor license from Corner Concepts, Inc., doing business as the Chop House for its location at 160 Graphics Drive. The reason that the business is applying for a liquor license at this time is that it is a new business in the city of Madison, and everything is in order for this item to be considered.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing and see if anyone would like to address this topic. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion from Mr. Goodson and a second from Mrs. White. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Thank you. And now we have our third public hearing.
Good evening, Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm here today on behalf to speak on Madison Inn Suites. Y'all all have a binder in front of y'all. I've also given one to the city clerk to be added to the record of the public hearing. And I've also given one to the owner's representative. So, part of executive summary. Madison Inn Suites has been the subject of persistent fire, building, and safety code violations since well before its purchase by its current owner in 2016. Despite city council accommodations previously in 2018 and 2019, the property has suffered a significant fire on August 13th, 2025, due to the persistent building, fire, and life safety code violations. Due to the fire, it caused extensive damage to the common areas within Madison Inn Suites. Subsequent inspections found the building substantially damaged and in unsafe condition, constituting a public nuisance. Full compliance, to get the building into full compliance with the city's current codes, it would require complete reconfiguration of electrical, mechanical, plumbing, gas, and life safety systems. Per the city, we have not received a potential construction schedule or financials that would indicate a remediation plan from the owner or anybody with an interest in the property. Therefore, based on the scope and cost of the required work that would need to be done, city staff recommends that the city council order the building for demolition, since that's the most practical and cost-effective course of action. So, some relevant background for the property. So since pre-2016, the property's had existing history of code violations and criminal activity concerns. The property was purchased in 2016 by Mr. Yang with the intention to redevelop it into a senior living facility. Although that did not happen, it continued operating as a hotel. In 2018, the previous city council held a public hearing on business license revocation. They had agreed to a conditional license instead of revoking the license based on the owner's commitments to redevelop the property into a senior living facility. The license included the condition that the property comply with the fire and building codes of the city. In late 2018, the legal department wrote a warning letter to the owner about his noncompliance with the new conditions on his business. And in 2019, the previous city council revised his business license at his request to remove the redevelopment provision. However, the remaining provisions, such as getting in compliance with fire and building safety codes and such, remained. From 2019 to 2015, there were persistent fire and building code violations, as you could see in your binder from the previous fire inspection reports. And in late 2025, a fire occurred at the property due to the noncompliance of fire code with the violations. So August 13, 2025, we had there's a fire that occurred at the building. The flame damaged 50 to 75% of the structure. The lobby, hallways, kitchen, and ballrooms were affected by the fire. You can see the detailed fire report at tab 5B in your binder, where we had our deputy fire marshal reported on the fire incident and the issues that he had noticed at that day. Also with that report is a letter where they required the electric power and electricity and such to be cut off to the building until violations were remediated. So since then, from April 2025 to April 26, the police department has had 125 routine patrols to the property. This information is tab 3 in your binder. The routine patrol means they've noticed someone on the property or so who should not be there, a trespasser or whatnot, that they have stopped. This is added into, the department's having to make calls to a vacant property when no one's there. There's not a business actually providing any income or whatnot to the city due to the property to help factor in the cost for police department action and such and patrols. So according to Chief Gandy, when discussing this, there are other vacant properties that are similarly situated within the city that do not get as many routine patrol calls as they do at the Madison Inn. I don't know if it's just the property is that more attractive or location? But there is one across the street or so that is vacant that has not had as many calls as Madison Inn gets for just routine patrols for trespassers and whatnot. So we also have the fire and life safety records. So this would be in your tabs 5C, 5A, and whatnot. As you can see in the chart, there's been a history of failed fire inspections for the life safety and fire element of the building. This was including when people were staying there and such. Numerous inspections failed, even some including around the time the business license was conditions were placed and such. And the last one, June 2025, there was an inspection done by a contractor that found the alarm panel or so was damaged from lightning strike. And because of that, it could have potentially have prevented the fire, possibly that occurred a few weeks later, or maybe would have prevented the damage to be so extensive if that had been in place and it was in compliance. So we did have a recent inspection walkthrough of the building last Monday on May 18th. I was there with the appropriate municipal official and our some chief, fire chief, our deputies, fire marshal, and some others. And there are a list, as you can see, of current issues that are with the building that are out of compliance with the fire and life safety codes, such as there's no automatic fire sprinkler system, fire alarm detection system, department connections, emergency responder, radio coverage, etc. All this was outlined in a letter that was provided to the owner last week. This letter is tab 5A in your binder. And so we also have our building and structural inspection history. In August 21st, a few days or so after the fire incident, our appropriate municipal official went out and inspected the building. He completed a building checklist, a dangerous building checklist like we do for our dangerous buildings, and found that there were building code violations and fire code violations and whatnot. On March 16th, he went out again and completed a second one so we could have an updated one before we filed our lis pendens, starting this whole process. He had noted on the forms, you can see, comparing them with tabs 4B and 4C, that some of the same issues persisted from the first inspection. And there was a note. There was a note that the building inspector found that it was past the point of being remediated, that remediation would not be a viable option due to the extent of the damage that was there and whatnot. But again, I was out there with the municipal official last week, and we did a walkthrough. We were there with some of the owner's contractors so we could give them an idea of exactly what would need to be remediated and such if they were to go down that pathway. And our building official wrote up a list of preliminary issues and such, and that list was also provided to the owner last week with the fire inspection letter report. Now, as you can see, these are some of the photos from the different inspections of the property. So this one was from August 21st. You can see the extent of fire damage. This is in the kitchen area and whatnot. And then there's also in some of the rooms, some mold, extensive mold damage and whatnot, environmental issues that would need to be remediated as well. So we also have some photos from our March 16th inspection. And then we have some from last week. From our walkthrough and the inspection, our officials and city staff had noted that the conditions were almost, if not exactly the same, from right after the fire incident. Or if anything, the environmental issues had gotten worse due to the elements being in. They had to cut holes in the roof above where the fire happened in order to be able to put out the fire. And those holes had remained open to the elements until maybe mid-February, when someone from the owner had gotten somebody to put some tarps up there to cover the holes. And as you can see, this is the roof, so there's the cutouts on the left side from the August. Those drone photos were taken right after the fire or so. And then you can see the photos we took after the inspection with the tarp coverings that are already coming off and have water pooling and such. So the entirety of the building and whatnot was open to the elements from these holes and from August to February. So the current property conditions we have here: fire damage, significant fire damage from the August event, buildings in severe decline. We had some vandalism with electrical wiring and components were removed by unknown parties post-fire. Our building official had gotten a call out there at some point in early March for copper that had been stolen from the building. We also have environmental issues since there's been no conditioner or air or ventilation. There's soot on all the surfaces due to the fire. Near the kitchen ballroom, combined with the moisture with a thick residential film. Biological hazards, there are some dead rodents as well, nearly stepped on too. Active bedbug infestation was also present right before the fire started, so we're assuming it still might be present. There are mattresses throughout the building. All the elements of like any kind of furniture, couches, dressers, mattresses, all still remain in the building like they were when it was evacuated and such. There's been no cleaning, remediation, or anything to get the property ready for renovation or whatnot. And then we have structural issues. So interior's in the same condition as of August, plus there's further deterioration from moisture intrusion and exposure. So according to the contractor, when we were out there, in order to fix where the fire damage had occurred, they would have to take everything down to the studs and do renovations there. Their plan for the remaining of the building was to simply kind of do a paint coverage and whatnot for the rooms and such, but we had notified them that they would have to come up to compliance with city codes, with the electrical wiring and plumbing and mechanical, and that would take extensive more work they had not prepared for with their remediation plan and such. A part of that would be, for example, walking through the hallway to the guest rooms. There is a gutter that has been installed on the ceiling that has electrical wiring on the other side of it. That is the protective covering of the electrical wiring to the bedrooms, is a little gutter. So due to the amount of work that has to be done and how extensive it is, we recommend demolition to the structure. Solely because it would just, the cost and the amount of work that would need to be done. Because in order to get up to code, the rest of the structure with whatever's done with the fire damage would involve, I believe, also going to the studs as well. And who knows exactly what's inside the walls, being that I believe this structure was built in the 80s and such. So there would have to be asbestos testing as well, environmental remediation and such too. And so you'll see in your binder, we also have a resolution at the end that sets the building for demolition. I think this is the best course of action besides renovation or remediation due to the cost and the extensive amount of work and damage that would need to be done. If it were solely just the fire portion, the burned portion at the front of the hotel, that's like the lobbies, the kitchens, the ballrooms, remediation might be possible for that and a more successful venture and such, but due to the amount and extensive work of getting up to code, we believe demolition would be the most cost-effective choice. All right. Do y'all have any questions about any of that information?
Well, first we'll open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here representing the property owner. They will have the first right and opportunity to speak. Yes, sir? If you could state your name, please, and the company you represent.
Sure.
And if your name is complicated, if you don't mind spelling it.
Don't mind at all. Well, good evening. My name is Rylan Lusk. It's RYLANLUSK. I'm an attorney in Huntsville. I was retained last week by the property owner to advise them through this process. And I'll begin by saying there is no dispute about the condition of the property. To say that it's a blight would be putting it mildly. The property has got to come down. Logistically, what's happening here, to pull back the curtain a little bit, is it's an insurance concern. So the property owner's insurer has asked them to produce a remediation agreement for them to evaluate to determine whether they're going to cover the cost of remediation or demolition. I understand that there has been significant communication between Ms. Morris and the property owner, and there have been some delays in getting the required documentation from the property owner. I can assure you that the intent there is not to stall the process. Frankly, the owners would like the property to be demolished. There is really no scenario where it makes more economic sense to remediate. Just the numbers don't add up there. So what the owners would propose, and what I have dealt with in similar circumstances with the city of Huntsville, is essentially a conditional approval. So the council would approve the demolition, but it would be subject to a remediation agreement. I understand that there is no agreement in writing right now, and that is still in the works. I imagine that the city has a little bit of logistical work that they would need to do as far as permits and getting everything squared away to begin work. So I think there's going to naturally be a little bit of turnaround time built into this process. And that would give the owners some time to satisfy their insurer, get the documentation that they need, and to provide the city with the documentation that it needs to enter into any agreement. And, if that doesn't come to fruition, the city still has, the council has still approved the demolition, and the city can proceed with demolishing the property. But what it does is it gives the owner a little bit more time to satisfy their carrier. I know that there has been some back and forth already, and I have implored my clients to get on top of it. As far as getting the documentation that's needed for any kind of remediation agreement, that needs to be done sooner rather than later. And I have emphasized that point. But our position would be if we could have just a little bit of time before the city goes in, with the wrecking ball, a little bit of time to get everything squared away, to get the yay or nay from the insurance carrier. So I welcome any questions. I recognize that there is this property is in really, really rough shape, and not just aesthetically, but from a public safety standpoint as well. So we recognize that. The owners recognize the problem, and are in no way trying to, stall this process. I think, the city and the owners are in agreement as far as the end goal, which is to tear this place down. I think that's going to happen. So I welcome any questions that y'all might have, and, certainly anything from city attorney's office as well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lusk. We're going to hold our comments and questions for right now because we do have others in the audience that would like to speak to this topic. So would invite you to have a seat, unless there was something, I don't want to take away any time. It sounded like you were wrapping up. Okay, thank you. If you could just have a seat, and we'll come back to you. But at this time, I did receive emails from two women who would like to address this topic, and I would like to invite Mrs. Christy Powers to come up first, please, and share her thoughts during this public comment portion of the public hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Christy Hampton, and I'm the property manager at Ulacas Storage on Celtic Drive. I've worked there for 28 years, and during that time, I've watched Madison grow, change, and improve in so many wonderful ways. I'm here tonight in support of the resolution to demolish Madison Inn Suites. This property is not just an eyesore. It has been a serious and ongoing nuisance to nearby businesses, residents, schools, and public safety departments for many years. Ulocca Storage and Madison Commercial are located on Celtic Drive, directly beside the Madison Fire Training Facility and near Journey Middle School and Madison City Stadium. Celtic Drive is not some forgotten back road. It is a corridor that leads to our Board of Education, our schools, stadium, downtown businesses, and one of the main gateways into Madison from I-565. Yet for years, one of the first things people see coming into this area is a property that has continued to decline and create problems for everyone around it. The issues with Madison Inn Suites did not begin recently. This has been going on for well over a decade. In fact, back in 2014, I personally created and circulated a petition among nearby businesses asking for help addressing this property. That petition included 75 signatures, and we're providing a copy to the council because this shows that this is not a new complaint. This has been known, a documented problem for a very long time. Over the years, we witnessed prostitution, fights in the parking lot, drug activity, people loitering, and people coming onto surrounding businesses seeking shelter. We have had people hiding in our flower beds, breaking into our customer bathrooms. We've seen foot traffic back and forth from the hotel and at times encampments. We have received sex offender notifications for individuals staying at that hotel while also seeing school buses picking up children there. That is a deep concern. We have seen dangerous incidents connected to this area, meth-related explosions, repeated break-ins at the Spencer House across the street. 9 months ago, Madison Inn Suites caught fire. Since then, we understand the property has not been allowed to have occupancy, yet people continue to break in and stay on the property. That creates a safety risk not only for them, but the surrounding businesses, customers, police officers, firefighters, and the public. This is not only about what happened in the past, it is also about what this area could become. This is an opportunity for the City of Madison to take action, help turn this area around. This property sits near a major entrance into our city. It should reflect the Madison we all know and care about, not the decline, safety concerns, and repeated problems we have dealt with for years. We respectfully ask the City Council to approve the resolution to demolish Madison Inn Suites. This action is long overdue and is a necessary step toward making this corridor safe, cleaner, more reflective of the Madison community we all are proud to be a part of. On behalf of our staff, our customers, nearby businesses, and the many people who travel this corridor every day, thank you for your time and your service to our city.
Thank you, Mrs. Hampton. At this time, I would like to invite Ms. Kelly Butler to come and speak before council on this topic.
Good evening, Mayor, President, City Council members. My name is Kelly Butler. I am, my parents are the owners of Ulocca and Madison Commercial, and this lady right here is actually technically my boss. She just tells me what to do from up there. Our family has owned and operated businesses in Madison for over 5 decades. I'm here tonight in support of the resolution to demolish Madison Inn Suites. My grandparents started this business, Joe and Jeanette McKee, back in 1978. And our first location was right in Huntsville off of Governor's Drive. And later, in the early 80s, added Ulocca and Madison Commercial over on Celtic Drive. My grandparents were not just business owners, they were deeply invested in the community. My grandfather was a member of the Lions Club for most of his life. And that commitment carried forward towards my parents, Jim and Patty McKee. My dad was a part of the Rotary Club, and my mom served and retired from Madison City Schools for over 20 years. She was a teacher, kindergarten teacher. She also created programs like the Big Backyard over at Williams Elementary, and they absolutely loved to serve the community. Over the years, Ulocca has supported, and Madison Commercial has supported many local organizations and causes, including the Rotary Club, Emmaus Walk, Madison Arts Council, Madison City Schools, Bob Jones, football, baseball, Journey Softball and Cheer, Columbia Elementary, and many others. We actually remembered on the way here that My parents were contributed towards the Dublin Park reconstruction. So we've constantly been involved. We take pride in our community. Today, I have the honor of continuing that family legacy. In 2020, ULOCIT was awarded the Small Business of the Year. COVID was a bad year to get that award, I have to say. But we did get it. And we remain committed to serving Madison with the same care and community and focus our family has always valued. I want to recognize Christy, our office manager, who's honestly like a big sister to me. She's been with us for 28 years. She's a huge part of ULOCIT's success. She's actively involved in the community, participates in events like the Madison Street Festival. She recently completed the Madison Civic Awareness Academy, and tonight nominated for the Police Advisory Committee. She always helps us find ways to support community members in need. I think recently we had an apartment complex that lost power, and we were providing storage for a couple months to community members that needed that, including tornado members, people that lost their homes in tornadoes. We are an older facility, I'm sure that you've probably seen, but we work really, really hard to take care of our property. We continue to invest in improvements, maintenance, landscaping, appearance, because we care about how this part of Madison looks and feels. Madison is growing quickly, and we want our businesses to continue being a positive part of that growth. I tell you all of this to say Madison Inn Suites has hurt this area and the businesses around it for so many years. It has made it harder for nearby businesses, which we house other businesses, okay? For nearby businesses to grow, improve, and help create the kind of welcoming corridor Madison deserves. This location matters. Madison Inn Suites sits near one of the main entrances into Madison from I-565 in an area surrounded by schools, city facilities, local businesses, and neighborhoods. This should be a corridor that welcomes people into Madison. Instead, for far too long, this property has sent the wrong message. We are not here tonight to complain. We are here because we believe this is an opportunity. This area can be revitalized. It can be cleaned up. It can become safer, more attractive, and more productive for this city. Our family has believed in Madison for almost 50 years. We've invested here, worked here, served here, and tried to be good community partners. Our family has never given up on this area. We've continued to invest in our property because we believe in Madison and in this community. But we are asking the city to give long-standing businesses like ours a reason to keep investing here. Approving this resolution would send a clear message that this corridor matters, public safety matters, that this area has a future worth continuing to build on. I respectfully ask the City Council to approve the resolution to demolish Madison Inn Suites. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Butler, for your heartfelt comments, and thank you for your investment in Madison as well. At this time, I would like to invite our City Attorney, Associate Ms. Morris, to come back up and shepherd us through this process. I'm sure Council has some questions.
So I wanted to comment real quick before. You know, as I put on the screen, the fire and life safety inspection reports, all the fails that have happened over the years, even around other council action immediately after the conditional license was changed and such. And I also want to highlight that, as y'all saw in our binders, our Liz Pendens giving notice and whatnot. We recorded that in March 26. Tab 7 has when everybody received it, all the interested parties and whatnot. The owner received it on March 30th. We did not hear from the owner at all until May 1st, entire month or so, with no response. And remediation was not even starting to be discussed until last week. Based on that and the previous field inspections and whatnot, and we've also heard from a similar property he owns in Homewood, Alabama, that they are having issues with a similar property and getting up to code, with having some shoddy electrical work and such being done over there from people that aren't fully licensed and such. And so we believe remediation or whatnot would not be successful for this property with this ownership. But, so we can close the public hearing if y'all wanted to discuss.
No, you stay there. We just can't hear what you're saying.
I was going to say, if there's no one else to say anything, we can close the public hearing if y'all are ready to discuss.
Yes. Is there anyone else who would like to address council on this subject? Seeing none, we'll officially close the public hearing and we'll move into a time of discussion. And I would like for you to stay there unless you'd be more comfortable. If you want to sit and have Mr. Lusk stand, whatever you're.
In case y'all might have some questions for him or so.
Sure.
I do want some clarification. He did mention something about requesting a remediation agreement subject, issuing demolition subject to remediation agreement. Although he agrees the building should be demolished, I'm not entirely sure what he means by remediation agreement, because by remediation agreement, we mean bringing the building fully in code compliance and whatnot and fixing the work. But if you also agree it should be demolished, then I don't understand why the council should enter into a remediation agreement.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, if you want to sit and then if you want to stand, that way everybody has a microphone. We just ask you to be respectful of each person as they're speaking. Yes, Mr. Lusk.
So essentially, it's not an overstatement to say it's somewhat a formality at this point for the insurance carrier. They have requested, and I don't pretend to know how insurance works. To me, it is all kind of above my pay grade. Essentially, they have requested that the owner show some due diligent effort to remediate the property before they will agree to cover the cost of demolition. What the insurer has communicated to the owner is that they would like to see, if not a full-blown, fully executed agreement, some specific, line item things that need to be done to bring the building up to code. With this particular property, I think it would be easier to identify the aspects of the property that are compliant, frankly. The building has got to be, if it's going to be restored, it needs to come down to the studs, and it's going to have to be a total rebuild. For whatever reason, the carrier is requesting, and I don't know if it's something that's gotten lost in translation or if it just is something that their policy requires, but the carrier is requiring the owner to give them something to go off of. And then the carrier will either say, yes, we approve and we'll cover the remediation cost, or no, we won't, and we'll cover the demolition cost. Having looked at the numbers a little bit, I don't think there's any scenario where the carrier is going to agree to remediate. It will be substantially cheaper to demolish the building. Why they have requested, that the owner jump through these hoops, I don't know. But that's what they have requested, and so the owner is in a position where they would like it to be demolished. They would like the insurance carrier to finance the demolition. To get to that point, they have to show that they have put forth some effort to try to fix the place. Now, I know that there has been, it's fair to say, no response really from the owner from the time that they were provided notice. I can't speak to that, but I can tell you that I have implored them to get this done yesterday. And I know that there are some specific things that the city has requested that the owner hasn't provided, and there's no getting around that. I can tell you that I'm going to work really closely with them if the city is amenable to get to the insurance carrier or whatever they're requesting, so that we can get towards the end goal, which is demolition. Regardless. That's our end goal here, and I think that's what we're all working towards, and everyone recognizes the problem, recognizes that is really the only viable solution.
Thank you, Mr. Lusk. I would say, just from a city council perspective, I don't think it's our role to get involved in the communication between the insurance carrier and the property owner.
I agree.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, I agree as well. After the insurance had reached out initially, and we had just provided the Liz pendants, which was public information and what such, the owner then reached out May 1st. And we have been in touch with the owner and told insurance that they must reach out to the owner because that is who their
I agree.
responsibilities to. That has nothing to do with us. But.
I agree that that is not our lane. So I got on council in 2016. This was something we immediately took up. Go ahead.
Are we about to discuss this, or so we can
yes.
close the public hearing or whatnot, or?
Mr. Lusk, I'll give you the opportunity. Do you have any?
If y'all going to deliberate, we need to close the public.
Okay, right. We do need to close. I'll give you, do you have any other comments or questions? Okay, then if you could please have a seat, sir. Thank you so much for being here today and giving us your perspective. At this time, we will close the public hearing. And I believe first, before we discuss, we do need to have a motion and a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Mr. Beer and a second from Mrs. Lessman. And so,
If y'all would like, I could provide your options, kind of, if that would help with discussions or such. Being that, so usually at this point, we would have a remediation agreement or potential proposed remediation agreement that I would be attached to a resolution that would issue, would order it for demolition subject to that remediation agreement. Being that we do not have a remediation agreement, I cannot do that. The other option would be, we have the resolution I prepared for demolition and whatnot that you all have in your binders. The other option I would say would be, in the event y'all do agree for allowing them the opportunity to remediate, would be we could adopt a resolution subject to a future agreement, or we could push this for y'all's deliberation to another council meeting for them to prepare one, offer one that we could then attach to the resolution. That would be the other option, I would say, being that we do not have an agreement with us.
can I just ask?
It's very intangible because we don't have the agreement. And
Right.
so that would be one of your options to do.
Shelby, as a part of that, could it be framed in such that, is it possible to say, approve a resolution to demo, but give them a time frame that would be tight, forcing movement on this, say that, a 30, 60, I don't know what the right number is, but kind of like it's got I'm going to call it a doomsday clause, says if you do nothing, this is what happens. We've already moved to approve, but there could be the potential to elect, because I guess my concern in that is the way that I see it right now, if we demo it, it's at city cost. City will pay for that and then apply that as a lien back to the property, which could take forever to settle.
You would have the opportunity to pay the lien.
Okay.
And then if you did not, we would then be able to foreclose on the lien.
Okay.
Are you suggesting a deadline to complete remediation or to prepare a compliant remediation agreement? What are you thinking, or are you asking, or specifically? Because if you're wanting, I guess Kip would be somebody who would be able to provide, if you're thinking a timeline to complete things, how long, you would think it would.
Yeah, because assuming, CDR is a remediation company, and that was the company that was there on the property. I assume they would want to be back there, probably digging into some walls and seeing more. But I don't know, that's just my thought of giving them a little bit of time, but I don't want to be sitting here in the fall talking about this again.
If the thing with doing something like that, unless we have a set date in it, is that it's still very intangible to a date.
And that's why I'm pushing for if we do it with a date.
Because if we don't put a date, we have so many days to act on that order and complete demolition. And so it's very important that we have an actual date. And the fact we just don't have a schedule, I don't even have a potential date to even tell you where we would have been if they did. They do have a Gantt chart. I had been notified. They do have a previous schedule that was dated out from the day of the fire for the completion of the regular work that was not including getting into compliance with city codes and whatnot. So they had a chart that could have been amended or whatnot, probably, to include compliance work they could have submitted. We did not get. But I'm not leery of the date or so that we're on that schedule. If anything, picking a date like that would be like a random shot in the dark for the most part. But, I mean, Kip did the walkthrough, and I could tell you, like, I think it would be like a long schedule. Like, it would take a while to complete the amount of work that needs to be done.
Oh.
And I guess, and I'm only thinking the work to do, to come up with, I guess, I'm applying this, if we were talking about a car, it would be, you take your car to the body shop and they say it's gonna cost $3,000 to repair it, and they go, the car's worth $3,500, we're totaling it. And that's kind of what the insurance company seems to be asking, is give us that cost so that they can do a cost-benefit analysis of their own.
I mean, they've already done the cost-benefit analysis from what I've been told, and they are believing remediation is the pathway for this versus demolition based on the cost the owner has paid to insure the property and whatnot. They are believing remediation is the key to doing it.
So it sounds like, though, you think it needs to be demolished, and then there's the remediation. So I don't understand why we're doing remediation. It just seems like...
We're not remediating. Our resolution's for demolition. He is asking about remediating because insurance believes they should remediate the property.
So that would be the only way we would get money or the insurance would help with the demolition?
That's what it appears to be, what he is saying.
And what if we just said to demolish it? I mean...
If we said to demolish it, that would be a complete city order that, I mean, they would then have to do, or if they did not complete it within the time, we would then have to complete.
The only other piece, they have a right to appeal. And
They do have a right
and
to
that's like a
appeal.
10-day or something, right? It's like
10
short.
days to appeal the city council's action to circuit court, which then submits this whole entire thing to the judge, who then would look over everything and determine whether or not to uphold that action.
It feels like they've had, almost a year since the fire to come up with a remediation plan. We've got a history of building that was built in '83. It's over 40 years old. They've failed code compliance. There's new codes that have to come into compliance too. They want to demolish it. They're asking for us to give them time to complete a remediation plan that they probably have to pay to get all this done. I would say there's probably not a lot of trust and faith that any time we give them will even be utilized. So they've had time since the notice we've given them. They've had time since the fire. I feel like anything they could have and should have done is in the past. So I think, to me, that time is closed. I don't see why we would allow any further time for a remediation plan, and we'd move forward with the demolition order.
Yeah, David, I completely agree. I mean, we've had the time. Haven't heard what us allowing, approving the demolition with a conditional remediation plan, what that will gain us. It just, gives them more time, which they've demonstrated they haven't done a lot with the time that they've already been given. So are there any benefits for us to allow for a conditional remediation plan?
Right. So the benefit to the city would be that the owner would be paying the demolition costs rather than the city fronting that cost and then having to recoup and be reimbursed by the owner.
To clarify, I'm sorry, but if we ordered the demolition, what Shelby had mentioned, that the owner could still demolish it if it's at a lesser cost and reimburse it. And so that's not necessarily putting it on the city yet. He has the option to do it, and any proceeds above that, obviously, he would retain.
That is true, and I'll just pull back the curtain. That is the plan. If there is not, if the carrier denies remediation, they have some contractors that they've looked at that can do the demolition. They will pay that cost, and essentially what the city would avoid is the logistics of of filing a lien, the logistics of foreclosing on the property to collect that money on the back end. So if the owner pays that initially, it's a more efficient and streamlined way to get the job done, and save taxpayer money. It's a smoother, more efficient transaction.
And how much time are you thinking that you need for this? Because I'm thinking if we can set up a penalty that if it isn't demolished by June 1st, then there'd be like a $10,000 a day assessment until it's demolished, something like that?
I do not think we can do a penalty for that with the way
Okay.
our ordinance is written and such.
Okay, so we
Could
can't.
Could I just make a suggestion to streamline this just a little bit? I think the insurance company seeing an order to demolish would sort of have its choices then become limited. They would then no longer be waiting on a remediation report because the city would order demolition. And we have a certain statutory period of time that we would have to effectuate that. And then it becomes in the insurance company and your owner's best interest to get your own bid, because I promise you, ours is going to be a lot more expensive. And we will attach a lien, and we will recover when that property is sold. And so I see no reason to extend this any further, to require our officers to continue any further servicing of this location and further crime to be committed. And I would highly recommend everyone pass this resolution as drafted and then allow the attorneys to negotiate on the back end to try to figure out how to move this thing along a little more expeditiously than it has been. Because I'm not messing around, and I'm tired of waiting, and I'm not trying to shoot the messenger. I appreciate you being here, but you need to send a message back.
Sure.
And make sure everyone understands we're moving forward as expeditiously as possible.
I'd like to piggyback off that. So some of our public comments had a personalized touch to this area, right? So we all, whenever we campaigned, we all heard about Madison Boulevard's got to be improved, all right? So this is like, almost like a promise delivered here. So both my kids go to Journey. My high school from Birmingham came and played at Madison City School Stadium. I was embarrassed that people I went to high school with had to drive by the corner on northeast corner of Madison Boulevard and see that, then turn on the Celtic in their buses and see that property. It was embarrassing for me. I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm city council at, right? That's it. So not only will I vote to demolish tonight, I think this sends a message that if there's anything else around that corridor that's in this condition, like, we ain't playing around. So, I appreciate you, Mr. Lust, like, very articulately expressing your message, but we've got to clean this area up, and this is the shot across the bow.
All right. Any other comments? All right, so again, we have a motion from Mr. Beer and a second from Mrs. Lessman to demolish the Madison Inn Suites. No other comments or questions. May I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes on order to demolish. Thank you again for being here, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
And Maura, could I just thank
Yes,
Shelby
ma'am.
for all the work
Yes.
that she did in putting this packet together so all of you could see the history of this property. I want to thank everyone who spoke during public comments. We appreciate you. We appreciate the owners hiring you, Mr. Lusk, so that you can report firsthand what you heard.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I appreciate that. We'll move into department reports, and we'll begin with building, please.
Proposed ordinance number 2026-176, authorizing the amendment to Appendix A, fee schedule for the Code of Ordinances of the City of Madison, Alabama, to add a weed abatement administrative fee increase from $247 to $361.74. And that was, the first reading was on 5/11/2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. Lessman and a second from Mr. Jackson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer. Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Thank you. The ordinance passes. Now we have the city clerk, please.
Good evening. Tonight I have before you Resolution 2026-194, authorizing the amendment number 1 to the master agreement for open records request tracking software with Just For You, Inc. They're an affiliate of MMCI LLC, in the amount of $9,024.88 for the initial term, with an annual renewal cost beginning at $10,250. Subject to annual adjustment pursuant to the agreement, to be paid from the city clerk's budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for Mrs. White and a second for Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions? No? Okay. Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes.
Thank you.
Now we'll have engineering. Oh, Miss Lisa, could we have the minutes that we approved to sign?
We have the resolutions, but not the minutes.
Or we can get it at the end of the meeting. Okay.
That's what I pulled out from right there, right?
Hi.
Sorry, Michael.
No worries. Okay, first I have Resolution Number 2026-187R, authorizing amendment number 1 with Sweeping Corporation of America for a 5% adjustment of their current contract due to ongoing market conditions, including a significant increase in oil and fuel costs. This will be $3,248.25 to be paid from Stormwater Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for Mr. Beer and a second for Mr. Goodson. Any comments or questions?
What, is this the street sweeping?
Correct.
May I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes.
Okay. And next I have Resolution Number 2026-200R, authorizing a professional services agreement with Mullins LLC for surveying and design services for project number 26012 Greenway Trail Extension along Town Madison Boulevard and Graphics Drive in the amount of $93,500 to be paid from engineering department budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for Mrs. Lessman and a second for Mrs. White. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Facilities and grounds, please.
Good evening. Facilities and Grounds has 3 resolutions for your consideration tonight. First is Resolution 2026-191R, awarding bid number 2026-006, ITB for a retaining wall at Toyota Field in the west parking lot to Miller & Miller in the amount of $438,534.80 and to be paid for from Stormwater Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for Mrs. Lessman and a second for Mr. Goodson. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes.
Next, we have Resolution 2026-195-R, approving professional service agreement with J.M. Phillips Engineering LLC for civil engineering design services for proposed improvements to the entrance of the Madison Wellness Center in the amount of $37,625 to be paid for from Facilities and Ground budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. White and a second from Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions?
Yes, I was wondering if you could elaborate on the need for another entrance, given.
So we currently do not, the city currently does not have their own entrance into the wellness center. We have to come through our neighbor's lot, and to prepare for the tour buses for the SEC tournament, we need to come to graphics and have a wider entrance so we can accommodate for that.
Gotcha, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? May I have the vote, please?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes.
Last, we have Resolution 2026-196-R, approving professional service agreement with J.M. Phillips Engineering LLC for civil engineering design service for proposed improvements to the softball fields at the Madison Wellness Center in the amount of $16,100 to be paid for from Fund 38.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion for Mrs. White and a second for Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions?
Bullpens and batting cages?
Yes.
How many of each?
So 2 for each field. So it's a bullpen and a batting cage for each field. This is a requirement for the SEC.
Copy.
May I have the vote, please?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Thank you, sir. Next up is IT.
Hello, I have one item on the agenda for tonight. It's resolution number 2026-193R. It's authorizing a 3-year subscription agreement with WOW Business for internet and cable TV services for the animal control facility located at 400 Celtic Drive, Suite A, in the amount of $400 per month, $4,800 per year, and is to be paid from IT's department budget.
Move to approve.
Second. Second.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion for Mr. Beer and a second for Mr. Jackson. Any comments or questions? May I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Next up, we have legal.
Good evening. I would like to present ordinance number 2026-201 for a first reading. This ordinance is to establish regulations concerning short-term rentals in the city of Madison, and it provides operational and permitting standards for the operation of short-term rentals. This is the companion ordinance to an amendment to the zoning ordinance that will be presented for a first reading and to set a public hearing later on your agenda. And if that's approved, that will set the public hearing for June 22nd, which is when we will bring back this ordinance for a vote. And I'll just briefly go over some of the standards in this ordinance. This ordinance sets permitting and licensing requirements for short-term rentals. It will require that if a person wants to operate a short-term rental, they will need to obtain a specific permit for the short-term rental and a business license. This includes an application fee and annual renewals with mandatory building inspections. This also provides certain operational standards, such as being for lodging only. This is not, the ability to have, large parties, events, or food service or other businesses out of these short-term rentals. It provides parking standards, so off-street parking is required. This also requires that owners must establish a local contact person that can be on site within 30 minutes of a complaint to the city. And it requires notification to adjoining property owners of the fact that a person has applied for a short-term rental permit so that people can weigh in and people just know what's going on next to them. This ordinance also provides for a 3 strikes enforcement plan. So if there are multiple complaints against a short-term rental, then the license may be suspended or revoked. And that's all I have. I'd be happy to take any questions that you have now or before the vote on June 22nd.
I do have a few questions. So on the parking, I noticed overnight parking by transients is strictly prohibited. Does that apply to daytime hours as well, or?
It should, we're only allowing on-site parking in the driveway. So off-street parking should be, prohibited anytime. But there, sometimes with daytime parking, on-street parking is allowed just in general unless we have a city ordinance against it. So I think we need to look at that a little bit more closely just to make sure we're fully answering your question.
Okay. And then on the notice to adjoining property owners, would that just, I assume, be the owners that are literally sharing a property line, but if they're across the street, they wouldn't?
That includes across the street.
Oh, okay.
The wording is adjoining, as provided in the zoning ordinance, and we added that wording to make sure that the across the street owners got notice.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. And then the last thing was, is there any limit to the number of SDRs that can operate on the same street?
We do not have a limit proposed for the same street, but we are proposing a citywide cap of a total of 190 short-term rental permits in the city.
So,
And that is included in this ordinance, yes.
so hypothetically, and I know this is an extreme example, but a homeowner could be literally surrounded by SDRs under the proposed ordinance.
Hypothetically.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
One clarification on the fee, the $350 fee, that's essentially our cost for inspection and
Yes.
permitting. There is no profit to the city with that.
Correct.
Thank you.
That is cost recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we'll discuss this in the future, because this is just the first reading.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We can invite Mrs. White to come back. Thank you, Mrs. White. And last up is planning.
Okay, the first planning item is proposed ordinance number 2026-123, and this is for the annexation of the property that you discussed earlier at 225 Nancy Road in Skyline Acres. This is a request to annex the property. Staff and the planning commission are supporting this request.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. White and a second from Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you. The ordinance passes.
Thank you. The next item is proposed ordinance number 2026-170. This is for vacation of a utility and drainage easement at 131 West Dublin Drive. This is a commercial property. There's a podiatrist or podiatrist like business there. And previously they had anticipated subdividing this property. There's an easement that they want to eliminate, and all the utilities and staff are supporting this request.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. White and a second from Mrs. Lessman. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman?
Aye.
Council President Robleski?
Aye.
Councilmember Beer?
Aye.
Councilmember John Goodson?
Aye.
Councilmember McKay?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Thank you. The ordinance passes. And last, we have,
Yes.
yes.
Last item is resolution number 2026-174-R. This is a request to set a public hearing on an ordinance that would amend the city's zoning ordinance to allow for short-term rentals. The Planning Commission is recommending that short-term rentals be allowed in mixed-use areas and in single-family areas, essentially throughout the city in these zoning districts. The zoning recommendation by the Planning Commission also would slightly modify our accessory dwelling unit regulations. Currently, accessory dwelling units are required to be occupied by a relative of the owner of the single-family home that they are accessory to. The change would no longer require that relative be in the accessory dwelling unit. And then there's also a recommended change to the definition of a short-term rental. To currently, the zoning ordinance that we've had out for public review had identified a short-term rental as being less than 30 days, and the recommendation would be to change that definition to 180 or 180 days or less. I will note that when the Planning Commission made the recommendation, the definition change wasn't part of their action. The definition change has come after further examination and input received by the City Attorney's Office. The public hearing is being requested to be set for June 22nd.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Goodson and a second from Mr. Beer. Any comments or questions ahead of the public hearing? Okay, may I have the vote, please?
Councilmember Goodson.
Aye.
Councilmember Beer.
Aye.
Council President Robleski.
Aye.
Councilmember McKay.
Aye.
Councilmember Lessman.
Aye.
Councilmember White, recused. Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution passes. Are there any miscellaneous business or announcements? All right, well, welcome back, Mrs. White, for the conclusion of the meeting, and may I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Thank you. We are adjourned.
I forgot that we did the thing.